Hey, I got a question to run through you guys real quick here. Jim might be in the same boat, but hypothetical question. Let's say a guy's got big futures money on the Chiefs. He played the Chiefs, right? He played the Chiefs before the season. He played the Chiefs in an Ohio State ticket to win it all a little while ago.
Right.
And let's just say he stands to win about 5 grand if the Chiefs win the Super Bowl. Jim, Andy, Greg, how would you possibly hedge that knowing that in the Super Bowl, particularly if you've been doing some work in the database and you're kind of like in the other side in the game now, the Eagles side rather than the side in which you've got a lot of money on if they win the game? Any ideas, thoughts, suggestions?
Well, the
Couple
uncomfortable.
questions. How much money's invested?
Well, let's just say the payout will be somewhere around 5 grand if the Chiefs win the Super Bowl.
But
How
how
much
much
do
did
you-
you invest?
Yeah.
Oh, it was it wasn't a lot. It was less than $500. It was a couple $100.
Now, is that just on those tickets that are alive, or on all the futures that you made, of which those remain?
Those are all the tickets of which we remain. So we would include another couple $100 in futures losses. So let's say about $500 total invested in NFL futures.
Okay, so the goal here was probably not to lose money and win some money. Correct?
Right.
Okay, let's figure out the first thing we have to do is cover your losses. So you take in my opinion, you'd buy the Eagles to 2, cover your loss, and hope it lands 1 or 2 on the other side, which is very possible with
or you could just play Eagles on the money line, which would reduce the amount of the investment.
Yeah, the problem is you have to lose 1 ticket.
Yeah.
You got no chance of winning both.
That is correct.
With the overtime rules that the team A scores a touchdown, team B has to have the ball, and they're very likely to go for 2 if they score a touchdown. The likelihood of a 1-point victory either way is very likely.
Yes, much more likely than one would actually think. I agree with that. And in fact, I think that there will be at some point, successful 2-point conversion in the game.
So yeah, I would do 1,000. Take the 2.
Or maybe more.
But that would be more than he already has invested.
My first thought would be somewhere along Jim's line where you play the Eagles, you grab a couple of points if you can. But also my thought was if the Eagles are going to win the game, they're going to need to score 24 or more points. So I would think maybe Eagles plus the points and Eagles over 23.5 as far as the team total.
Well, now you're starting to get.
But see, now you're adding risk in there.
Yeah.
The simplest situation is to either play Eagles money line or, as Jim says, buy it to 2. That way, you know you're cashing at least 1, if not both of those tickets. Or actually, you could be cashing 2 out of the 3, possibly all 3.
Because actually, that's what I'm doing, Victor. I'm at 1,000, so I'm gonna probably do around the same math, about 200. Take the points. But what I'm trying to do this week is I actually have a couple of and college basketball will allow it on Saturday as well. I'm taking a tiny bit of like, hey, if I'm going to be making bets this week, well, why don't I make parlay bets instead of straight bets and make the second team Philadelphia? So I'm doing all right. So if I do a golf bet, I'll do okay. Well, I was going to bet on that golfer this week at 15-1 or 20-1. Well, I'll do a parlay. I'll do 15-1 in Philadelphia. So at least.
But then what happens? But then what happens if Kansas City wins?
Then I get my $1,000 and screw the bet I just made.
Okay, yeah,
because it's not going to be a heavy bet. Yeah. It's like a $5 bet, $10 bet on the golf ones. Yeah. But if you're doing college basketball, you'd have to probably put up 25 or 50. So you're starting to get a little bit more on that. But yeah, I mean, that's just what I'm going to do. I'm going to probably do 200 to make 1,000.
Two ways to look at this. You either look at it from a fan perspective, or you look at it from a professional money. It's a business. You have $700 invested. You don't want to lose the 700, and you now favor the side that's going to lose you your 700. So
Right.
that puts you in a very awkward situation. If you said, I still love Kansas City, that's different. You don't. You like the other side. So you really need to have a cover on the side you actually now like. And you're not an amateur player. You're a professional that knows what the fuck he's doing. So Scott Pritchard, after the 5th game of the season, had made a $4,000 bet on the Eagles against the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl.
Right, I saw that ticket. Yeah,
$224,000 payoff.
Yep.
He called Fezzik and me and talked to us both about what to do. We both told him that he needed to put himself in a situation where he could win $100,000 on his $400,000 ticket or $4,000 ticket.
4,000. Yeah.
Either way.
Exactly.
But also put himself in the situation where if it lands 1 or 2, he can win $324,000. So he has that now. We've set that up to help him do that.
There are two ways to look at it.
Not that he needs any help because he's pretty smart anyway. But he did ask the both of us to give him advice, and that's what we told him.
Yeah, there are two ways.
He still likes Kansas City, so you're on the other side of that. You like the other side that you bet. Now you don't like your bet anymore. So that's a whole different scenario.
I look at it as if you're betting all the time and you're betting decent money, actually it doesn't even matter what you're betting. It's that if you're doing this sort of that as a significant or a decent portion of your income, the idea is to cash as many tickets as you can. In other words, I'll give you an example. Like if I had one side in a game and I now as a future, let's say I have Kansas City, I do have them at 9-1 from a bet that I made at the end of the Super Bowl last year. Okay, doesn't matter who I like in the other part of the game. I'm in a position now where I can either do nothing and risk losing the initial investment, or do something and guarantee myself a profit regardless of the result. And whether I had an opinion on the game or not, I would end up making a wager that would ultimately, when you factor out the amount that you would not collect, that you would lose an investment on whichever side loses, gives me the same amount. In other words, if I could win a $9,000 if I do nothing but the Eagles, let's say the Chiefs win, okay, I would now bet enough so that maybe at the end of the day I'll guarantee myself a profit of say $4,000, maybe $5,000, because I'll bet enough on the Eagles that I'll be betting on the Eagles and hoping that ticket loses, so that I guarantee myself the maximum profit. Not care which side wins.
But don't you do something about maybe possibly getting both sides of the ticket to win?
I would if it were a situation where the point spread were, say, +5 or +6, because then you've got certainly over a field goal. I'm not at this point. I'm a guaranteed winner if I do something, but if I want to try and go for a middle, then I'm adding additional risk that may not pay off.
Yeah.
My only opinion on this is very simple. I don't remember a Super Bowl, last year's wild overtime game included, where I'm still looking for something. I have a lean, but I can't pick a winner. So if you have some future where you're like invested, yeah, absolutely. I would say hedge. Like this is an amazing Super Bowl in that you have Patrick Mahomes and his experience and the number 2 defense against obviously Saquon Barkley at the best of his knowledge, like his labors, and the number 1 defense. And I think the nonsense over Jalen Hurts can't throw the ball is over.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he proved that.
this is a really good Super Bowl. Like
I
I'm
have
curious to see what happens.
Yeah, I have a selection in the game, but anyone who wants to play the other side, I cannot argue with. If you like Philadelphia, if you want to bet Philadelphia, go ahead. If I like Kansas City, go ahead and bet Philadelphia, and I can't disagree with you. If I like Philadelphia and you want to go ahead and bet Kansas City, I can't, or it's the other way, however I said it, I can't argue with anyone who wants to play either side of this game. I think the thing is you have the Kansas City experience and their knack for winning games, which, look, 17 straight one-score wins, okay, against arguably, and I would say most people would acknowledge that the Eagles are the better football team based on talent and roster. But that doesn't necessarily mean the better team is going to win, especially when you're talking about a competitive point spread. If you're talking about a game where the point spread is 6 or 7, well, then you know that team that's favored is arguably the better football team. I don't think you can say that in this situation. And Kansas City, whatever Philadelphia has an edge in overall talent, and you can again argue position by position versus obviously they have the better quarterback. But let's say overall roster, better all talent. You could argue that Philadelphia has it. Maybe it's not by all that much, but it's more than made up for by Kansas City's experience.
Let me answer this from a investment standpoint instead of a handicapper standpoint. If this was a stock, and I could make money either way by going long or going short, I'm going to take a guaranteed profit.
That's it. That's exactly what
arbitrage the game.
I don't look at the game.
Yeah,
I don't give a shit about the game.
Anybody that has a future one way should bet the other way just to guarantee yourself.
Exactly.
That's exactly what I would do.
See, I have that double exacta. I've got Eagles over Chiefs at 59-1 and Chiefs over Eagles at 35-1, but I also have that separate bet on Kansas City at 9-1. So it's basically 44-1 versus 59-1. So I'm going to be happy whichever way the result is. Do I want to hedge part of it? Possibly I could, but I've already got a spread. I've already got at least a 35 now, a 44-1 payoff guaranteed, which would be 43-1 if the other side loses, et cetera, et cetera. So I have some maneuverability there. Whether or not I take advantage of remains to be seen because I'm already in a very good position. But if you're in
an excellent position.
Yeah,
yes.
But if you're in a position, I did that last year with the Chiefs and the 49ers. Now I do have some expenses to make up for the losing combinations that won't cash. But so what does it do? It reduces it from 55-1 or whatever I said it was 56-1 to maybe 48-1 and 35-1 or 44-1, maybe down to 39-1, whatever it is. But I'm in a good position. But if I just had one side, and I know that if you have one side in the Super Bowl and you have an opportunity to guarantee yourself a profit, because again, if you're from Minnesota and you come in here and you make a wager, you probably let it ride. But if you're here and you're looking to make a profit every day, this is no different than just a regular Wednesday of college basketball.
Hey, Jim, if you would, let our listeners know out there about Scott Pritchard and the bet.
Yeah,
the bet
he did. He sure did, Mark, already about that stuff.
Before you jumped on, I mentioned.
Okay, you did. Okay, good.
Yeah,
good. Sorry,
guys, this has been outstanding insight here.
I'm glad to see we're actually recording all this because Scott's in a perfect position. I think probably the most perfect position is the one Andy has, but Scott's in an excellent position at 4,000 to win 224, and he's taken 2 on Philly for half that. So where he can actually make 324, he's going to make 100,000 either way.
Yeah, exactly.
So for $4,000 investment, I'd like to be in that position every day of my life.
Yep.